Anything that experiences more upsides than downsides from random occurrences possesses antifragility. Things that benefit from randomness and chaos, while resilient objects resist disorder and remain the same. Fragility is associated with experiencing more downsides than upsides, a direct opposite of antifragility. When an object is sent through a mail, if it is susceptible to damages, the word fragile is stamped all over it. This is a concept everyone is familiar with. We know things can break from experiencing stress, and this can lead us into having a negative attitude towards stress, seeing it as something bad and to be avoided. When in possession of something fragile, we become wary of volatility, as the object is safe when nothing surprising happens. Now it is easy to mistake the opposite of fragile to be resilience, because a resilient object is one that remains unchanged when experiencing stress, to a degree at least. When will truly be the opposite of fragile is something the author Nicholas Taleb coined antifragile. This object gets better from experiencing stress to a degree nonetheless. For instance, a fragile object, e.g. an egg, will break if 500 kilograms of weight was put on it, but an antifragile object like humans would benefit, becoming stronger through similar stress. Fragility is exposed to what we call unfavorable asymmetry, while antifragility enjoys favorable asymmetry. A random occurrence, where antifragility thrives and fragility continuously fails, can be labeled as a Black Swan event. From Greek mythology, we can pick three examples that would perfectly describe fragility, antifragility, and resilience or robustness. Fragility can be represented with the tale of Damocles, a man who dined with a sword hanging by a thread over his head. Whatever stresses the thread experience threatens his life. The phoenix, known for rebirth and rising from the ashes, is a perfect example of resilience or robustness. It always comes back to how it was initially after suffering badly. The finally but not the least is antifragility. The Hydra describes antifragility through its ability to grow two heads when one is cut. This shows something that grew, developed, and became hard after undergoing stresses. Antifragility comes from a system that overcompensates and builds extra capacity in anticipation of future and greater stress. Antifragility could be the key difference between organic and engineered objects. The human body can get stronger from experiencing stress, while objects like a car might be at best resilient, robust, because while unlike the human body it does not self-repair. Stressors to antifragile objects are merely information about the environment it finds itself in. Although antifragility has conditions, humans do better with acute stress than chronic stress because of recovery time, which allows the body to process the information, and adapt before another stress is inflicted on it. When we eliminate variations to fit into a particular model, we create underlying problems that could cripple the entire system. In the modern era we find ourselves, we underestimate our need for stress, variations, and volatility. The mythology of the Procrustean bed demonstrates how we cause more harm by attempting to reduce variations. Procrustean was an innkeeper who, in order to make sure his bed was the perfect fit for travelers, would either stretch the short ones on a rack or cut off the extremities of the tall ones. Many problems we face in the modern age arise from the removal of natural stressors. Compare the life of a lion in a zoo and in the wild. Yes, maybe the zoo lion will live longer, but is long life really the goal? We humans have managed to tame ourselves and it has resulted in civilization, but if comfort and long life is all we desire, we will soon run out of that primitive energy to live life freely. We are prone to intervening in issues out of an impulse to fix things, even when doing nothing is oftentimes best. This happens particularly with doctors. It can lead to iatrogenics, which means harm caused by the healer. Harm from doctors is said to account for more deaths than any single cancer. There are basically two forms of iatrogenics, the obvious iatrogenics, such as amputating the wrong leg, and the less obvious iatrogenics, such as carelessly prescribing antidepressants and ADHD medication. Part of the issue comes from the agency problem, where the doctor has different interests from his patient. Iatrogenics is a cost-benefit situation. It usually results from deceptive situations where the benefits are small, visible, and the costs are very large, delayed, and hidden. To worsen it all, the potential costs are much worse than the cumulative gains. Another principle of iatrogenics, it is not linear. We should not take risks with near-healthy people, but we should take a lot more risks with those deemed in danger. The author Nassim Nicholas Taleb shares a story of his article being aggressively edited for writing style by The Washington Post, so he pulled it and gave it to the Financial Times, who only made one edit, to correct a date. He points out that Washington Post, in trying to over-edit, missed the only important error. He also points out that procrastination might at times be a good and is not always bad, it is a function of something deep within us that is able to ascertain the urgency of a problem. We cannot procrastinate in the face of impending danger, but procrastinating doing a chore or an assignment is probably fine. Using this knowledge one could cure herself of procrastination, particularly in relations to jobs. The trick is not to force yourself or try to fix it, rather, to find an occupation where you do not have to fight your impulses and where you do not feel the need to procrastinate. One must be able to know when to play it safe, and when to take risks to achieve antifragility. Antifragility is the combination aggressiveness plus paranoia. Clip your downside, protect yourself from extreme harm, and let the upside, the positive black swans, take care of itself. We saw Seneca's asymmetry. More upside than downside can come simply from the reduction of extreme downside, emotional harm, rather than improving things in the middle. An example is Mark Cuban's investment strategy. He keeps most of his assets in cash, robust, not going to crash with the market, and it allows him to move quickly when he sees large opportunities, antifragile. The barbell demonstrates an antifragile balance, the idea of two extremes kept separate, with avoidance in the middle. This represents playing it very safe in some areas, staying robust to negative black swans, and taking a lot of small risks in other areas, open to positive black swans, to take advantage of antifragility. While avoiding being in the middle. If you put 90% of your net worth in cash and you use the other 10% for extremely aggressive and risky investments, you can never lose more than 10% of your net worth, but you're liable to massive benefits. Or, you could have a very safe day job while you work on your side gig. You balance the extreme randomness and riskiness of entrepreneurship with a safe job. More examples: do crazy things, break furniture once in a while, like the Greeks during the later stages of a drinking symposium, and stay rational in larger decisions. Trashy gossip magazines and classics are sophisticated works, never middlebrow stuff. Talk to either undergraduate students, cab drivers, and gardeners or the highest caliber scholars, never to middling but career-conscious academics. If you dislike someone, leave him alone or eliminate him, don't attack him verbally. Prediction is impossible, it was in past and is so now more than ever. So, instead of trying to predict what is going to happen, just position yourself in such a way that you have options. If you have options, intelligence, knowledge, insight, skills, and these complicated things are not as crucial. You have been relieved of the pressure to be right that often. All you need is not do unintelligent things to hurt yourself and recognize favorable outcomes when they do occur. Having options allows you to benefit from the positive side of uncertainty, without a corresponding serious harm from the negative side. Touristification is a part of modern life that treats humans as machines, with simplified mechanical responses and a detailed user's manual. It is the removal of uncertainty and randomness from things, trying to make things as predictable as possible to their smallest details, all that for the sake of comfort, convenience, and efficiency. An example is the soccer mom problem. She tries to remove all the randomness and uncertainty from her children's lives and protect them. By doing this, she prevents them from developing the ability to handle and adapt to difficulties. The rational flaneur is someone who makes a decision at every step to revise his plans, so he can implement things based on new information he has acquired. The flaneur does not allow him or herself to become a prisoner of a plan. Tourism assumes one can plan out everything, and this gets one locked into a hard-to-revise program, while the flaneur is continuously and, most importantly, rationally modifying his goals as he acquires information. The mode of thinking the flaneur uses is great in life and business but not in personal life and matters that involve others. The opposite of it, concerning human relations, is called loyalty. While it is something good and noble, one must ensure they are placing their loyalty in the right places. It would be a mistake to think that you know where you are going to be in the future with all certainty, or assume that you know what your preferences are today will be the same tomorrow. It is self-delusion to think that others, too, know where they are going, and that they could tell you what exactly they want. Never ask people what they want, or where they want to go, or where they think they should go, or, worse, what they think they will desire tomorrow. The computer entrepreneur Steve Jobs was said to distrust market research and focus groups, especially those based on asking people what they want. Instead, he follows his own imagination. His modus operandi was that people do not really know what they want until you provide them with it. People that indulge in too many complicated tricks and methods start missing very elementary things. Persons in the real world cannot afford to miss these things, otherwise, they crash the plane. Unlike researchers, they were selected for survival, no complications. For example, the guy trading green lumber quite successfully at a firm in London did so thinking it was lumber painted green. The Soviet Harvard knowledge doesn't necessarily translate to success in business and life. He learned how trade successfully using the process of random tinkering, antifragile, heuristics, technology, practice, and apprenticeship without ever actually understanding what green lumber really was. Having options provides you with favorable asymmetries or positive convexity. When uncertainty arises, optionality causes you to outperform the average. This is a very central property of life. The opposite of convexity is concavity. Negative asymmetries render you more prone to harm as uncertainty increases. Antifragility has more chances against the randomness of our reality, unlike fragility or robustness. Supposed you have to deal with fragile systems, how do you thrive? Well, first, you have to know if a system is fragile or antifragile. To check the fragility or antifragility of anything, you could use this simple experiment. There is a town and you in charge of the transportation system. You are to check if the roads are over-optimized. Let us say you carried out a survey and discovered that when traffic increases by 10,000 cars, the time it takes to travel grows every 10 minutes. But if 10,000 more cars join the fray, travel time increases by an extra 30 minutes. This kind of traffic time acceleration shows the fragility of the traffic, and a reduction of cars in traffic will more beneficial than adding more. This is an example of concavity. It is by elimination that concave systems thrive, not addition. The process of elimination is what makes things thrive and become antifragile. Chess masters win by not losing, people get rich by not going broke, especially when everyone else's, even religions, preach more on avoidance and interdicts. Reduce your personal risks by implementing simple measures. Subtractive epistemology, which is the act of removing what we think is wrong, is the greatest contribution to knowledge. We know a lot more about what is wrong than we know what is right, hence, knowledge grow more form subtraction than addition, given that what we conclude is right today can be proven wrong tomorrow, and what we have proven wrong today cannot be proven to be right tomorrow, at least not flippantly. Observing a single black swan disproves the statement, all swans are white, but observing numerous white swans does not prove the statement true. One observation can disprove a statement, while a million observations barely confirms it. Disconfirmation is more thorough than confirmation. If true wealth consists in worryless sleeping, clear conscience, reciprocal gratitude, absence of envy, good appetite, muscle strength, physical energy, frequent laughs, no meals alone, no gym class, some physical labor or hobby, good bowel movements, no meeting rooms, and periodic surprises, then it is largely subtractive, elimination of iatrogenics. In determining things that will last longer, when it comes to abstracts like technology, lifespan is irrelevant. When dealing with perishables, every day lived is a subtraction from the lifespan. With non-perishables, every day lived implies an addition. So the longer a technology lives, the longer it can be expected to live. Obviously, this doesn't apply to all technology. Another splendid example of this is books and scientific papers. Books are that 1-year-old has a low probability of surviving no matter how earth-shattering it may seem. The Lindy effect is a great guide when selecting which book to read. Books that have been around for millennia or two should remain around for quite a long time. Empedocles, a pre-Socratic philosopher, was asked why a dog preferred to always sleep on the same tile. His answer was that there had to be some likeness between the dog and that tile. This does not follow rationalism but rather is confirmed by its mere reoccurrence. Those technologies that have survived are like the tile to the dog, a match, because they resonate with something deep in our nature. This cannot be explained to the rational mind, but they are demonstrably true. There is something fundamentally true about it despite our inability to comprehend it. If there is something in nature you do not understand, the odds are that it makes sense in a deeper way outside the reach of our understanding. There is a logic in natural things that much more superior to ours. Just as in law we say innocent until proven guilty as opposed to guilty until proven innocent, we should embrace the following rule: what nature does is rigorous until proven otherwise, what humans and science do is flawed until proven otherwise. We live in a world where agency does not come hand in hand with consequences. People that are given tasks to perform have no system that holds them to be responsible. Hence, people do not have skin in the game. What is skin in the game? It is simply the imposition of consequences for failure to perform tasks appropriately. Skin in the game is a very effective measure against fragility. Unfortunately, in modern times this solution has been abandoned, favoring incentives instead. We have developed a fondness for neomanic complication over archaic simplicity. We need to regain an understanding of this solution. A weak person is not a person that does not have an opinion, it's someone who does not take risks for his or her opinions. Dignity is worth nothing unless you work to earn it and are willing to pay price for it. According to Fat Tony, first, never get on a plane if the pilot is not on board. Second, make sure there is also a co-pilot. The first heuristic addresses the asymmetry in rewards and punishment, or transfer of fragility between individuals. Ralph Nader has a simple rule: people that vote for war need to have at least one descendant, child or grandchild, that will be exposed to combat. The Roman were well aware of this. They made sure their engineers spent some time under the bridge they built, something that should be required of financial engineers today. The English went further and had the families of the engineers spend time with them under the bridge after it was built. Every opinion maker needs to have skin in the game. The second heuristic emphasizes that we need to build redundancy, a margin of safety, avoiding optimization, mitigating, even removing asymmetries in our sensitivity to risk. Corporate managers have incentives without disincentives, something the general public does not quite understand. They are under the illusion that when managers are properly incentivized, the managers will work extra hard to not fail, forgetting that failure is without demerits. Somehow, these managers have been given free options by innocent savers and investors. The concern here is with managers of businesses that are not owner-operated, as failure has little to no adverse effect on their personal well-being. Conclusion: the concept of stress being beneficial is something we already understand, albeit in certain domains. We fail to incorporate this knowledge into other parts of life that need this understanding. It takes conscious effort and a critical view to begin to use our stress properly. As someone who is in charge, never dissociate yourself from the work being done for you. Make sure that you are involved so that you will understand the work and have a personal connection to it.